God message today. There are moments in life when the silence around you begins to speak louder than words, when everything you thought had ended starts whispering of a new beginning crafted by the unseen hands of God. Somewhere beneath the noise of deadlines and disappointments, heaven has been weaving a quiet miracle with your name written across it. It's not by chance that your heart still beats with hope after all that has tried to break it. It's the mark of divine purpose, refusing to die. God never forgets a promise, even when time tries to convince you otherwise. Somewhere in the stillness, a soul that was meant to walk beside you has been prepared, refined, and redirected, not to meet the old version of you, but the one born from waiting, from worship, from wounded prayers that refused to stop believing. In the town of Elissa, where the wind carries hymns through olive trees, there once lived a woman named Lyora who thought her story had gone quiet. She had loved deeply once, prayed boldly once, and when life turned its back on her, she thought heaven had too. But while she wept in secret, heaven was at work in sacred spaces unseen. On a distant shore, a man named Caleb knelt in the sand and asked God not for riches, not for fame, but for alignment, a heart that beat in rhythm with God's will. He did not know his prayer was the echo of hers, carried by the same Spirit, sealed in divine time. When the appointed hour arrived, not a second early, not a breath too late, their paths crossed, and what once felt like delay revealed itself as design. That's how God works. What feels like absence is often arrangement. What looks like rejection is sometimes redirection to something holier. The Almighty does not waste pain, He repurposes it. He lets the storm rage long enough to teach you to trust the captain rather than the calm. And when the rain finally stops, the air smells of destiny fulfilled. There is someone reading these words right now who has been asking if God still writes love stories, if He still mends what's been shattered, if He still pairs purpose with tenderness. The answer is yes, but His yes often hides inside a process that feels like loss. You are not behind. You are being aligned. Every person who walked away was necessary for your pruning, for your purification, for your preparation. God removes not to punish but to protect the promise. He delays not to deny but to deepen your roots until you can sustain the weight of His blessing. In the unseen realm, angels have already gone ahead of you. They are rearranging schedules, moving hearts, orchestrating divine introductions you don't have to chase. The one meant for you will not compete with your calling but complement it. They will pray with you, not play with you. They will cover your weaknesses, not expose them. You will know them not by butterflies but by peace. For peace is the language of heaven, and it never lies. Somewhere, as you read these lines, a heart is being stirred by the same Spirit that is touching yours. Their season of confusion is ending just as yours is beginning to make sense. You will recognize each other not by appearance but by resonance. The echo of purpose that says, I've prayed for you without knowing your name. The love God ordains is not rushed, it is revealed. It is not about timing you choose but timing He sanctifies. He is a God who hides His treasures until the right eyes are ready to see. So, if the waiting has been long, it's because the blessing is layered. God is not simply preparing someone for you, He is preparing you for someone holy, someone who carries the same flame of faith. And when it happens, you won't have to force it, grace will make it effortless. You'll look back and thank Him for every delay, every unanswered call, every closed door that kept you from counterfeit comfort. The same hands that broke you will bless you. The same tears that stung your pillow will water your garden. Don't rush what God is refining. He is not late. He is perfecting. The intersection of two timelines, two testimonies, two transformations. One day, you'll stand beside the person He ordained for you and realize it all had to happen this way. The loneliness, the lessons, the longing. Because divine love is not built on chance, it's built on covenant. And when God writes your story, even the commas carry meaning. So breathe again, hope again, trust again. The author has not stopped writing, and your next chapter begins not when someone enters your life but when you re-enter your faith. In that sacred return, heaven moves. Somewhere above you, angels are whispering, it's time. There are seasons when the heavens seem sealed, and the heart asks if God still remembers the petitions whispered in the night, yet in that silence. The Lord is shaping holy timing, for the same God who guided Ruth through the barley fields and led David from caves to crowns is now guiding you through unseen turns that lead toward promised love and divine alignment. Every delay you have endured has been an altar of preparation, every tear a seed sown in faith. For the Lord of hosts wastes nothing. He even counts the sighs that rise from weary hearts. There was a moment when Abraham thought the promise had expired, yet the covenant still breathed beneath the stars, and there was a night when Mary sat beneath the quiet sky, unaware that within her womb the light of the world was stirring. So too does something eternal stir within you. God has not forgotten. He has simply hidden the answer in the folds of perfect time. You think you are waiting, but heaven has been waiting for you to reach the stillness where trust outshouts fear. Love in His kingdom is not a coincidence of glances but a convergence of callings. The one meant for you will arrive not with confusion but with confirmation, not to compete with your purpose but to complete its echo. For Boaz did not come chasing Ruth, he found her faithful in the field, diligent where destiny could see her. So remain steadfast in your obedience. Angels are aligning footsteps, and what seemed lost will soon appear radiant under divine light. When God writes a union, He writes it with eternity's ink. Storms may test it, distance may refine it, but covenant cannot be erased. He who split the sea will open a path for hearts to meet in His appointed hour. Until then, worship in the waiting, for praise shortens the distance between promise and manifestation. Do not measure God's faithfulness by what you see. Measure it by the cross that already proved His love. Even now, unseen hands are weaving mercy through your story. The Lord says, "Be still, beloved, I am not late. I am perfect." One day, soon you will look back and see that every unanswered prayer was guidance, every closed door a shield, every lonely night a rehearsal for revelation. The same God who brought Isaac to Rebekah and joined hearts in holy purpose is bringing forth your own appointed meeting. Rest in that truth. For divine love never rushes, it arrives precisely when both hearts can carry heaven's weight together. Sure. Here's an extended continuation of the same single flow paragraph, keeping the same tone, rhythm, and biblical imagery. You can read it as one unbroken devotional passage, with no section breaks. And in those long stretches when the promise feels silent, remember that the Lord never sleeps nor turns His gaze away. His timing is the cradle of miracles. Joseph sat forgotten in prison, yet every passing hour drew him closer to the throne prepared for him. So it is with you. The delay is not denial but divine design, the holding pattern that keeps you from landing before the runway is ready. The God who arranged a star over Bethlehem can certainly arrange the crossing of two lives meant to reflect His glory. You are not waiting in emptiness, you are being written into a story whose author is mercy itself. The Spirit walks through your waiting room, teaching you to sing when logic says be silent, to hope when evidence says surrender. 4. Faith is not the absence of waiting, it is worship in the waiting. When you breathe prayers that sound like fragments, heaven gathers them like incense and fashions them into answers that outshine your imagination. Remember Hannah. Her tears watered the soil of Samuel's calling. So let your longing be holy, let your patience preach louder than your pain. Somewhere unseen, another heart is being carved by the same potter, shaped by the same lessons, softened by the same grace. When the appointed moment arrives, the recognition will not come from appearance but from resonance, the sound of two spirits tuned to the same shepherd's voice. You will know, for peace will clothe you like morning light. Until then, guard your spirit from comparison. Others may seem ahead, but they walk different maps. God's calendar does not consult man's clock. Every step you take in obedience is already recorded as victory. The wilderness that frightens you today will one day be your testimony ground. Even the ravens that fed Elijah knew the schedule of heaven. How much more does your Father know the hunger of your heart? Therefore rise each day as one who trusts that destiny is already en route. Speak blessing over the unseen, thank God for the unseen, and soon the unseen will step into sight. The Lord who joined Abraham and Sarah, who reunited Joseph with his brothers, who restored Peter after the storm, delights in restoration. He will redeem your lost years, your unanswered letters, your silent seasons. You will stand beneath an open sky and realize that nothing was wasted, not the heartbreak, not the solitude, not the questions. They were all scaffolding for glory. For when God performs restoration, He multiplies joy where pain once lived. And you, beloved, will look into the eyes of what you once only prayed for and whisper, truly? The Lord has done great things for me. Type and quote, yes and quote, if you believe in God. Type and quote, 11:11 and quote, if you believe in God.